I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown here in Swift Current. I am Sam Steep, joined with Sean Joyce. Today we have a B final, Team Englot versus Team Fujisawa. Winner gets into the playoffs.
Yeah, it'd be a good way to start off your Saturday. The playoffs for the women start tomorrow, Sunday. The men don't have their playoffs till Monday. It's a lot to keep track of for us.
Yeah, that's a lot of running around for sure. But here we are. The other B final, we have Team Kate Cameron versus Delaney Strauss. And our other B final is Team Brown versus Team McMillan on the ice. Keep you updated as much as we can. One other game on the ice is we have two Saskatchewan's players, Jolene Campbell and Jenna
Engie.
Thank you.
I know the Saskatchewan teams pretty well. I've done the provincials here for a lot of years, so I have to see them all, yeah.
Probably see them all again.
Yeah, all of these teams, all the Saskatchewan teams that are here, kind of chasing spots for the provincials as well as just this Bonspiel. This is the last event that counts for the pre-qualification spots. Michelle Englot, one of the teams that's in a pretty good spot to be in one way or the other.
Well, that's good.
And Jenna Engie and Jolene Campbell playing head-to-head are both chasing a spot. So obviously there's only going to be one of them left chasing after the game draw this morning.
Looks like we have a pretty open end so far.
Well, so far, but here comes the corner guard. And it would have been curious even had they stayed. You do see that once in a while. It's a strategy that some teams will play when the first stone goes into the rings. You hit on the first one and then throw the corner guard on the second one just so that things aren't quite so cluttered in the middle. With the rollout, for sure, Michelle Englot going to play the corner.
Yep, the old delayed corner strategy. It was used a lot when the 5 Rock rule first came into play. Now teams are being a little bit more aggressive when they have hammer, but still a good strategy. It's a strategy I coach my juniors into doing, especially early in games.
Yeah, you'll see it a lot in the first end.
Yeah. That corner guard not curling up as much as they probably wanted, but
yeah, and with it being that high, there's probably no in-turn path to the button anymore, which, doesn't matter yet, but it could, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fujisawa taking the approach that the way to cut off the corner guard is to throw a center.
Perfect strategy so far. It's basically exactly what you have to do. You're never going to draw around a corner guard in the first end.
Well, not this early in the end.
No. Fujisawa obviously been at the tier 1 level for 2 years now at least. She's been pretty much a household name and a fan favorite. Michelle Englot, mostly known for her late career heroics in St. Catharines Scotties, almost beating Rachel Homan in the final a few years ago, but obviously has had a great career before that.
Yeah, 7 provincial titles in Saskatchewan, 1 in Manitoba.
Yeah. Not a lot of people get to say that.
And with back-to-back peels, now it looks like we're going to have a pretty open end. You can throw the corner guard again, but if Fujisawa was willing to hit it on the last one, you pretty much can bet she's going to hit it again on the next one.
Yeah, they hit and rolled out on the center guard peel, and that basically ended our end this morning.
You do see this a lot, and I've seen it a lot the last couple of weeks, in particular here in Swift Current. And it's a little surprising, but you're seeing this open end for the first. A lot of these teams at this level are so conscious of. I was talking about it with. I've worked with a number of different broadcasts. Can't remember who I was with last night, but we were talking about it then. And that I'm an older vintage player. Let's put it that way. And we didn't used to worry about last rock in the even end till in an 8-end game you'd start thinking about it in the 6th, and in a 10-end game, it'd be the 8th. And here, for a lot of these teams, they're thinking about it when the first rock is thrown. If we can manipulate things so that we've got last rock in the even end, that's great. So for the team with last rock in the first, a blank end's always in their mind. And we didn't used to think that way, because it just was hard to do it with not just the players. It's not all the players, it's the equipment as well. The ice conditions are so much better. We used to have frost at the edge that made doubles and triples a little tricky early in the game, and the striking bands are so good. The rocks are maintained better than they ever were.
Yeah, we're really spoiled. It's quite funny when I get off the ice and I'm as most competitive curlers kind of nitpick a couple of things that happened during the game that was ice related. And it's like, then I go back home and I watch the 2004 trials final or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, the ice is pretty good. Like, it's not too bad. Even that's just 20 years ago, let alone 40 years ago.
Corner guard on the other side. They'll make the peel there as well.
Yeah, warming up the entire sheet.
I thought she might come in on this one. This could be that point in the end where you throw one too many guards and Fujisawa comes around it to get the force here.
I agree with that. This is one rock too many. Especially in the first end. If this is the 3rd or 5th, then
Michelle is an aggressive skip and always has been, and she'll play with rocks in play. And if you are going to give her a chance to score 2, she'll take it. And I don't think she cares what end it is. Fujisawa cannot be tempted. She's going to peel the guard.
yeah, not surprising. It's early.
It's a lot wider too. It would be a bit of a guess to try to get around that.
And then, if you're not fully buried, you're just giving them a simpler hit and roll, and then you probably give up 2.
Yeah.
Safe call.
Stephanie Schmidt throws the 4th stones for this Englot foursome, and it looked like they had a quick discussion just which way does she want to play this. this one's coming into the rings for sure.
Yeah, you're basically discussing what you want on your last, whether you want to throw your out turn or your in turn for the blank attempt. Obviously, Fujisawa will probably try to roll to the center, but either or. It's good to talk about. Now, yesterday there was a ton of curl to the center line, but not as much out to the wings. Seems like it's pretty similar today, but
Yeah, it still moves to the wings.
yeah, it does. Like it's more natural. The one to the curl to the center line is pretty sharp.
And both of them are fairly late. I don't think you have to come too tight to a guard here in Swift Current.
No.
I called a couple of the games. There's been back-to-back events here now. It was probably fair to say a slightly lower level of competition last week. It was kind of the precursor to this one. There's a handful of teams that played in both. And last week, there was definitely more pronounced movement to the corners. Now, maybe it was right after a flood. Maybe the center was a little high. I'm not sure. But it does look like they've made some adjustments here on the ice. And perhaps part of that was just so that the teams that are playing back-to-back weekends, and Michelle is one of them, don't have a huge advantage. Still always a comfort level when you're playing back-to-back in the same weekends. And we saw it come to fruition in the A event. Schwaller won the event last weekend, and she's qualified through the A here again.
And made it look pretty easy too. She won with by a lot in almost all three games.
I'd have to look back, but I think she was an A event qualifier last weekend too, which means she has yet to lose a game in Swift Current.
There's buildings as a curler. There's buildings that you just feel really comfortable in. I'm pretty sure that she was here last year as well. But sometimes you just feel better on certain ice conditions than you do other places. And obviously, they're one of the top teams in the world, so it makes sense. But still,
Fujisawa not able to roll into the rings on that last attempt, so it's a throw through for the blank.
Yep, that will conclude our first end, and we'll be right back after this short break.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you
Welcome back to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown here in Swift Current. I'm Sam Steep, joined with Sean Joyce. Streaming services brought to you by Curling Stadium. You can get all of your score updates on Curling Zone as well. We were just discussing on break that Team Englot still going with the delayed corner strategy, hitting the rock in the back forefoot.
Yeah, they were looking to roll Broomside off the center line. It just came up a little too much for them. Stays in the back forefoot. Now with a nose hit here, you'd almost have the pinhole covered.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out. Obviously, if for everyone back home who doesn't know what the delayed corner is, when you're hitting the rock in the back forefoot, you want to roll to the wings for the most part, so then you don't have a dangerous rock on the center line.
To be fair, it actually doesn't even matter if the rock's in front of the corner or in front of the tee line or not.
No.
You could do it with a rock in the front of the tee line too. You just want to get a roll over to the corner, hope your opposition hits it on the nose. Now the play's on the corner, and you throw the corner guard. If it's in front of the tee line, you throw it on the other side. If it's behind the tee line, that's where things get interesting, because you could throw it on the same side, and then you've got a rock to freeze to behind cover. That's a pretty aggressive call, but I've seen it done.
Yeah. It's basically what your team tolerance is. Like, if your team meeting, you guys agreed that you were going for two, like you're not blanking, then yeah, guard their opposition rock that's behind the tee line. But yeah.
As a skip, if I'm playing it myself, I don't think I play it. But as an announcer, because it makes for an interesting end, I love it when they play that one. And I mean, the potential is there for it to work out really well. Now, here, Michelle was looking for the corner guard, slipped into the rings.
Yeah, I mean, the most pressure with the delayed corner is on the second, or on the lead. You just threw a hit, and you're in the second end. The path is probably warmer than you expected, and you have to throw a guard right after. Not easiest. That's the easiest shot in the world. That's why they play the drill. That's why all four players should be playing that drill. That's hit, draw, hit, draw, hit, draw, because it's just what we have to do in our 5-rock rule game now.
This is kind of comes back to what happened in the first end as well, with the play being in the rings in the first end. This sounds odd to say, but here we are. Lead stones are completed in the second end, and the lead for the Englot team, who happens to be Michelle, has only attempted one draw. She's thrown 3 hits. That's a little unusual for the lead.
Yeah, unfortunately rolled the wrong way there for Ashley Williamson. So at the Guelph Grand Slam, if Englot eliminates 2 reds, they would be forced to take 1 in this end, or lose the hammer without getting any points.
Yes, for those unaware, at the Grand Slam coming up, they're going to be testing a rule where if you blank 2 ends in a row, you lose the hammer.
It's I was talking about it yesterday, and not to focus on it, but it's a fun new rule. I like that curling is trying to make it more fun for the audience, but that rule could just make the game even more defensive than what they're trying to do is make it more with more rocks in play.
Yeah, I disagree.
Yeah,
I think it's long overdue, and I think part of it is that right now, I was discussing this with somebody yesterday as well. You see the last rock is the offensive advantage.
Yeah,
it just is, but that's not how it's being used most of the time. It's being used as the defensive advantage, and I think by doing this, you're going to force the team with last rock to play offense, and if the team without last rock decides to play defense, well, that's all well and good, but maybe they're the team that should be playing defense, and right now I think it's the other way around, and it probably shouldn't be. Why are you waiting on the team that has the disadvantage to play offense? And I don't think the defense with last rock or without last rock is as easy as some people seem to think. Because keep in mind, if you see 2 teams coming home, 1 point difference, and the team with the 1 point lead doesn't have last rock, you don't see them playing whole hog for the force, because it's really tough to stop a deuce from a team that really wants to score 2. The way to defend 2 more often or not, what I've seen be effective, is they go They play it like a hard steal to try to force the single, which I think could get very interesting. It has worked in doubles, and if you go back to the Skins game, that was one of the first places where they played that rule, and it worked out very well in there. Every end gets pretty complicated, but the teams have found ways to uncomplicate ends in a hurry if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking of is that, the very top level of our men's and women's game, they can, almost all of the athletes can get rid of 3, 4, 5 rocks with one.
Not when they're on opposite sides of the house, they can't.
But true. Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you're playing with last rock, you're going to split the house. And what's happening now is because all the offensive play is coming towards the middle, it's the team without last rock playing offense. They're all clustered. And that's why 3 and 4 rocks go pretty easy.
That's fair. And I do really look forward to seeing it. I loved the no-tick rule when it first came into play. And I'm sure there was people against it, but now it's, a pretty important guard now to touch the center line. Like your lead has to be accurate.
Yeah, it's an important rule. And I'm still not in favor of the rule. And the reason I'm not in favor of that rule is just because a handful of teams made that tick shot look good. I hate that they removed the tick shot.
That's fair.
Because it's a good shot. Like, it's, as much as some teams have made it look easy, it's not. That's a skill shot, and it's a team shot. Because it's not, you can't make that out of your hand, right? It's got to be managed right down the ice to make that shot. So it's a much harder shot than the guard was in the first place. So I kind of hate that the strategy is got to the point where you've had to take that out of the game. But I understand it. The tick shot has made for, or the no tick zone has made for some interesting things. An unintended consequence, I think, of the no tick zone has been when you get that rock that's halfway around early in the end on a guard that's touching the center line. We used to be able to tight ice that. You tight ice it and you think, well, if we rub the guard going by and push it over to the corner, that's good. Mm-hmm. But you can't do that now. So it changes the way you think about those shots. So that was an unintended consequence, but that particular consequence I think is good because it makes you've actually got to ice it where you're really trying to make the shot. And a lot of times we iced it tight and think, well, we're gonna make noise here one way or the other. Yeah, and the way the ice is at the top level, draws don't even get close to center guards anymore for it to be buried. But yeah, it's a good point. I do like change, and just like the difference between 10 and 8 ends, and there's still a ton of people on both sides. I personally love 10 ends because I love watching curling, but some people don't want to sit in front of the TV for 3 hours, and that's totally understandable too. So it's fun. It's fun debates. See, and I'm at that vintage where when I'm playing, I'm starting to wonder why we're not talking about 6. That's fair. Well, looks like 6 feels like plenty. Yeah, sorry. Looks like Team Englot is going to get forced. Sarah England had a couple attempts at doubles that just wicked a couple of rocks. Didn't fully eliminate both stones. Stephanie Schmidt trying to make the double, it looks like. Yeah, I'm almost surprised at this call. Like, if you're getting forced anyway, you could try to freeze to the corner of this one. They threw one freeze attempt that bounced off. I know. Yeah, I know. But you're getting forced anyway. Yeah, fair. And you get a chance for draw weight. But that one over curled on them. And now she'll most likely have an open hit for 1. But it'll be against 3. The only discussion here for Fujisawa will be, does she want to roll anywhere? And I think they've decided just to hit it right on the nose. Doesn't look like nose is possible.
That's interesting.
It's not a horrible result though, because
No,
now
that's
do you really want to hit a rock in the back 8? No. So now you're throwing the draw after you threw a hit on the first one.
that's why I said it was interesting. The other Stephanie's probably thinking hit for the last minute and a half, getting her mental ready for a hit, and now she all of a sudden she has to draw a full 8-foot. But here we go. Last rock in the second end. Team Englot needs full 8-foot for their 1 point. A draw against 2 for Stephanie Schmidt.
She did get a chance to throw a draw on the first end. It was to the corner now. She only just bit the top of the 12 on that one.
And she threw her draw of the button and secured hammer for the team, so I imagine she'll be pretty close.
And it was on this path.
Yeah.
This is her draw to the button path from, well, about 25 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as the sweepers communicated that, it's probably a little bit faster. Usually a good feeling when they're cleaning. Not a mistake made. 1-0 for Team Englot after 2 ends, and we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Join us this March for the House of Hearts Charity Bonspiel in Duluth, Minnesota. Help raise funds for Project Joy, who provides meals for hungry kids in our community. Every donation helps to ensure no child goes hungry. Join us and make a difference. Together, we can spread joy.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Swift Current. Live stream presented by Curling Stadium. I'm Sam Steve, joined by Sean Joyce. That corner guard just getting over the hog line for Team Fujisawa. Not going to be very useful with how much curl there is. But
yeah. It's interesting. Both leads have thrown so many hits. They're struggling a little bit with draw weight. Michelle slipped in on a corner guard attempt last end, and she's behind the tee line with her first one this end. And that corner guard so high, it's not very effective by itself. This is probably earlier in the game that you'd want to have to throw 2 corners too.
Yeah, it feels a little too early to do that, but Fujisawa loves to play with rocks in place, so they might be a little more aggressive. I'm not sure if that's in or not.
Yeah, they were sweeping aggressively to try to get it to curl enough to cover the back stone, and there's going to be a discussion here about whether or not that's in. You can pull out the 6-foot measure stick if you need to determine.
They both agree that it's in. It looked in on the overhead, but it's hard. I'm not 100% sure where our camera is. But that is definitely advantage Fujisawa. If that stays out, they probably have to throw a corner guard or a freeze. This makes it quite a bit easier.
Looking for the double, but if you're a little thin on the first one, you might roll all the way across into the rings behind the corner guard. That's not bad either. So you've got some options here.
Yeah, and this is the number one thing we teach in junior curling is tolerance, because you're going to get misses in junior curling for sure. And at the top level, obviously you don't get as many, but tolerance is a secondhand thought to these teams. They kind of know without even talking about it.
And that's maybe the problem that rose there. They ended up getting in between the two. They swept for curl all the way down and hit it too thin for the double and too thick to roll behind the corner guard.
It's a double-edged sword too, because now they can nose and stay out of the rings. Obviously, there's already been 5 rocks thrown.
That's the 5th stone, so
yeah,
that's not as critical, although it doesn't leave them the chance to roll in off the top one.
Yeah, but you still have a rock in the control zone, is what I call the 3 guard zone there, even in the top 12 near the center line. If you have rocks there, you're most likely in control of the end. Chance for Yumi to make the hit and roll. They're trying to roll all the way behind their very high corner guard. I wasn't sure if they're going to roll all the way over with that rock. They could have been fully buried behind the center, but the reason why that would be bad is because it would be biting back button, and they make this freeze, and you're going to have to draw a pin against one. So probably good to over-roll it a little bit.
Yeah, you never want to be dead behind your opposition. All of these teams, both the men's and the women's teams, so good at the runbacks as well. It's a different game. I'm senior playing now, and we're even still. We play a run back. We're happy if we make contact, and that's the way it was when we were playing it. 20 and 30 years ago. Now these teams make a run back, and they're disappointed if they don't stick it behind cover. It's just they play so many more of them. They play them with a lot more precision.
A great shot by Ashley Williamson. Forces the run back, but you're absolutely right. It's a shot that even when I was in juniors, we weren't practicing until we played the likes of Tanner and Jay Corgan, who they were practicing run back since they were 5 years old. So it's definitely a shot that should be second nature at this point, at this level. And but yeah, just missed it. But still a great outcome. You got rid of the backing that yellow was on and the center guard, and you rolled over to pretty much a corner guard and a rock that's very much usable.
For now, though, the chance for Sarah England. Put the guard up, and Fujisawa will be trying to get back to a blank situation first, not really a chance to try to play offense if this guard is placed well.
Yeah, I imagine they're going to throw at least one more run back. If the guard isn't perfect, they might do the backline tap chase, but this looks pretty perfect. Well made by Sarah.
There might be enough room to play the hit and roll to the corner.
There probably is, but you always have to look at what your danger rock is, and it's always the one on the center line for the most part. Maybe if this was the Vice's last, they might have chased. This is probably one rock too early.
just by it again.
I did notice that yesterday, that center line, even with peel weight, gets some curl. And, which, I mean, I love, but sure, maybe a little bit frustrating when you're used to throwing a 6 or 7 second peel and it not moving a centimeter. And all of a sudden, you're getting 2 or 3 inches of curl.
I don't know how frustrating that is. Again, an older vintage player, and once upon a time I could throw the weight up there, and I always preferred the ice that I'm happier if it curls a little bit, because as long as it curls, you're not worried that it's going to fall back. And that was always a concern when you threw that big weight on some surfaces. When they were dead straight, they would actually fall back when you threw more weight. That guard is really tight.
Yeah, definitely a miscue by Sarah, which is interesting because it was the exact same shot in the exact same path. So
yeah.
Normally at players this level, they'd be pretty close. I'm at maybe the rocks could be mismatched, but if I try to give her an excuse, but yeah, pretty much a routine double here.
Stays right there, so there's room for Michelle to try to roll behind. Now that if you roll behind the short red, which is the easiest one to get behind, it's a short run back. And that'll be that run back we were just talking about, where they'll try to dead stick it behind cover. So you might want to only be about 3/4 buried here.
Three quarters is pretty much perfect, because you're right. Yeah, you don't want them to absolutely stuff it. And then all of a sudden, an end where you thought you were going to win or steal, or at least force, or make her draw to the 4-foot.
Win the end.
All of a sudden, you're giving up 2. Cleaning.
She's going to get some roll. It might be a little more dead behind than you would have liked.
I would never complain with a perfect hit and roll, but yeah, it very well could be made perfectly the other way. Just like you predicted, Sean. Basically a nose run back.
Yeah.
Must be nice for the top teams like Fujisawa and the teams that are used to playing on the Grand Slam, though this rock is made it. Oh, I thought it overcurled, but she almost made it and rolled behind her tight her corner card.
That would have been the harder way to make the run back and get something buried, but it almost worked out for her.
Yeah. Well, it's a win-win because she's most likely getting a blank here in the third. So
she's going to have a shot for the blank anyway, because for Stephanie Schmidt to roll behind cover, she's not going to be in the rings. She's got to roll towards the center to stay in the rings.
Yeah, she'll basically have to roll all the way over to the other side of the 12-foot if she wanted to be buried, which is very difficult.
They might give it a go. I mean, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, 100%. Swift Current is a lot like Grand Slam ice. Very curly and pretty predictable, and probably the top teams probably love it.
Unless she thinks she could throw this with quiet weight, get just across the nose, and maybe spin into the rings behind the corner that she's closest to.
You probably can. It's not easy, but you probably can. The main goal for this would be to have a guard in the view of Fujisawa.
She threw the extra rotation looking for the big roll.
pretty good attempt. Did roll out too far, and it's going to be a blank end, but
I don't mind that, though. I think if you're going to play that shot for the long roll, then actually play it. You see so many teams that, you have to commit to a shot like that. And you'll see, well, we don't want to roll out. Well, you're not really committed to the shot then. You're committed to not rolling out. And what happens then is more often than not, how often you see it, they just roll to the center line and leave an easy blank attempt.
Yeah.
Like, actually go after the shot. And she did. And, boy, she didn't miss it by much. You think about at point of contact, it's a fraction of an inch, a small fraction of an inch.
Last rock here in the third end was obviously be a throw through, so we will have a blank. Fujisawa will keep the hammer going into the fourth. Team Englot up 1-0. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Saskatchewan, you know Sasktel, because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With Sasktel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Sasktel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Jeez, McEwen has a long commercial.
Fourth end underway here. First stone into the 4-foot, biting the button, the corner guard up, and now you're seeing Michelle looking to guard the stone in the corner of the button.
Yeah, more traditional end, this end with a well-thrown corner guard. Perfect draw to the 4-foot, and now a perfect guard. I think it's kind of game on for us and the viewers back home.
Now, the first stone of the end wasn't on the center line, so the guard protecting that stone also not on the center line. That means they can tick it on the way by. That's the gesture that they just want to make sure they touch something. I don't think looking to remove the stone in the rings, but she'd like to push it back a little bit.
Yeah, I think they motioned the back line weight, and like you just said, there's almost no risk to it because you can tick that guard if needed. It is pretty much edge on edge, but obviously Team Fujisawa knows not to the miss isn't to flash. So looking to make contact at one of the rocks, preferably the one in the rings.
No, I don't think the way that's curling, she's getting by the guard. Now, it wasn't touching the center line, but it's still a free guard. So when it touches the divider, it comes back. The shooter removed from play. Michelle was hoping she could see a ring on the ice. You can't always.
Oof.
That's pretty close, I think.
Yeah, it is pretty close. That is the danger of playing that shot. And it looked like maybe a little heavier than they wanted it to be. So if they played back line, then neither stone would be eliminated. Unfortunately, that was probably about hack and rolled too far. These rocks are active. Advantage Team Englot early after that miss. And that rock, yeah, sorry. Either or,
I think, yeah. So she won't be tight here. That broom's pretty much in the center of the rock, but if she sets it just a hair and hits it on the outside, gets the double, that's okay too. You just don't want to curl across this and miss the one in the rings. Oh, that's a bad break. To stuff it so solidly that it stays in behind the other yellow guard.
Especially with how much weight she can throw, it is, yeah, pretty unlucky. Obviously still a big advantage for Team Englot now. They have a rock biting the button, about to be double center guarded. Fujisawa's going to need to make some rocks disappear if they want to score this end.
If she's going to protect the shot rock, she's going to have to leave her enough of an angle, I think, to try the double peel.
Yeah, they could get rid of all three yellows depending on the angle.
Yeah.
Sweeper saying this is heavy, though.
Well, if you come in tight, they shouldn't be able to get all three of them, but she can certainly make the double peel on the two tight stones.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately for Ashley Williamson, that slides a little bit too deep, and now Fujisawa can get rid of both center guards and roll to a corner. Just like that.
It's a good example of just how lively those striking bands are, because she almost hit that on the nose and still rolled 2 feet.
Yeah, that was basically 7/8. It also goes to show how much leg power she has as she's sliding all the way down to the other hog line when she's throwing that.
Now this gets tricky. To throw a guard towards the center line on the amount of curl that we have here and get it to stop in the exact perfect line, it's harder than it looks.
Yeah,
so often you'll see them, they'll try to sweep it into place and then it doesn't stop and over curls a little bit. And right here, they're hoping it stops. It did.
Pretty much perfect by centering.
It's high enough you might be able to chase and roll towards the corners.
It's definitely decision time. You're right. You could throw a backline hack waiter and nose it. It would be pretty hard with that soft weight to roll all the way to the corner and kill the opposing stone. And that's probably why they're deciding to peel.
Yeah, the risk of the peel is that it's pretty hard to peel this cleanly. You're probably jamming on one of the red corners, whichever way you want to go. Well, if you knew you could make it that way, that's the bonus. They get a biter out of it.
That's in the stat sheet. You put 125% with that one. a great outcome, pushing your guard into the rings.
It's got Michelle looking at the short angle run on the Yellowstone that was just pushed over there. Don't know if she could see enough of the yellow to get the yellow into the rings off this run back either, but it's all about let's not give up the shot for two. You're no longer worried about the force or the steal.
There's a couple ways you can miss this. You can miss this by rolling in the rings and sitting two. You can miss it by rolling to a center guard. Unfortunately, she missed it too thin. Went right in between both of those shots that I just talked about. For Sarah England. The momentum of this end changed quite a bit in the last two stones. Fujisawa going to be set up for their 2 points.
Stephanie and Michelle are going to have a decision to make here. You can see half of that biter, so wherever she rolls on this, there might be a long double available. But if you ever rub that guard trying to play the long double, you've given up 3. Well, this is not the roll they were looking for.
Yeah, but there is...
Can she see enough to make the double? I don't know if she can.
I don't think she can. So it's decision time for Team Englot. Up 1. You can hit the front one and roll over, basically concede your 2. Or you can make a perfect freeze and
it doesn't have to be perfect.
Might get a force.
There's no run back available either, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You get a corner around.
Yeah, I mean, the best place you could put this rock is about half buried just above the tee line. Would be the perfect spot you could put it.
That's one of those shots where if you're Fujisawa, you can't tell your third whether that was a good shot or not until you see what happens with this one.
It's when you're statting as a coach, you don't really want to put the stat down until you see this rock. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Because that might have set us up for 3. It also might have set us up to get forced. It really just depends on how well this is made.
Yeah, Sweeper's calling heavy out of her hand.
Got to get by.
Perfect weight.
Yeah, well, now 4 is suddenly in play.
Yeah, if you can roll behind the corner.
You can roll behind the corner.
You absolutely got to try it. A 4 points in the fourth end. You take absolute control of the game.
Well, and I don't think there's any good roll the other way.
No,
you're not rolling all the way across. You're going to roll you could maybe roll into the 4-foot, but that just leaves her the hit and roll onto your red. And if she's a little thin, she just doubles it. You actually could leave her an easier shot by rolling the other way than even a nose hit. Her shot's still pretty tough because you take that rock up on other rocks with, for her hit and roll underneath, I'm not sure she'd be shot rock. So then at least you're drawing for 2.
Yeah, and basically anything but rolling towards where the broom is right now would be pretty much great. Now, awesome would be the roll behind the corner.
Yeah, if you could roll dead behind. Boy, I don't know what Stephanie Schmidt even does with her last one. This might roll too far. It's going to leave her It's going to leave her the same shot, though.
Yep, overrolled by 2 inches.
I mean, it's got to be made now. That's up a little higher. Can she see enough of the top one to make contact with that? Because if she can make a double
Could even be a triple.
It might be a triple. I mean, they might be there. I'm sure they're talking about it.
The only thing is you just threw the freeze and you just threw perfect weight. You just need 2 centimeters more ice. If we had the other camera view, we could see if it's there. It's close.
It is. Certainly to make the double. I think, to me, it looks like the middle one is jamming pretty solidly on the third one, but
yeah. I
You
like the
have to-
freeze. That's a pretty hard shot, and you're almost always going to give up 3 unless you make it perfect.
You make it perfect, you're still giving up 2.
Yeah.
This is your shot to get the force, but it's also the potential 4, and that's probably the game in a game that's been played so tight through the
Stephanie
first 4
Schmidt,
ends.
the most pressure she's had on her all game so far, needs to make a corner freeze on one of the reds. Sweeper's calling a little heavy out of her hand. And it's running like it's heavy. Just that 4 feet heavy, and it ran just that little bit straighter because of it.
Already sitting 2. You don't even have to go after it. You could just play to the middle and take 3.
That's not Fujisawa's play style.
No, I don't think there's too many teams that would.
No, but you're not wrong. I think you throw the hack back the same way she just threw that hack weight shot, and even if you wreck on that top one with hack, you'll probably roll in and still score 3. So pretty much a low risk shot. Chance for Fujisawa to score 4 points and blow this game open here in the 4th. Last rock.
Going to be tight to the guard. I think they've gone to plan B, trying to clip it thin enough to stay.
Just overrolls, and it will only be 2 red for Fujisawa. They do go up 2-1 after 4 ends, but a missed opportunity. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the Curlin community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. I'm Sam Steep, joined by Sean Joyce. Stream is brought to you by Curling Stadium. Streaming all of the sheets, or I think every sheet but one. Commentating on two of them.
All of the sheets that are in play. There's six
Yes.
sheets here in the facility in Swift Current, but they've got bleachers set up on, I believe it's sheet one side. So down to 5 sheets for this event.
Yes, and if you live in the Swift Current area, go and watch on the ice and make it feel like a Grand Slam, just probably a little bit colder than the arenas that Grand Slams get to play. But missed opportunity by Team Fujisawa last end. Pretty much open hit for 4 over curls and only gets 2. But they are up 2-1 with even ends, so still advantage Team Fujisawa. And Team Englot gets a sigh of relief that they're still in this game.
Michelle herself continues to it's an ever so slight struggle with draw weight, but an uncharacteristic struggle for Michelle, who's long been known as an excellent drawer. She's behind the tee line again here in the 5th end, and that allows that freeze opportunity. And it looked like on the overhead that Yoshida got in enough to be shot rock.
Yeah, that rock, unfortunately, like she's 2 feet off of what she wanted, but behind the tee line, it only helps Fujisawa, and they made a perfect freeze to make them pay. And the classic over adjustment on the second one. All competitive curlers have been there, done that. It's pretty close. It does look like red to me.
It is. Now, if it's red, you could still throw another guard because you know the peels are likely going to start on the next one. This is not wrong either way. If you could get to the face of that, freeze onto it, maybe even tap it back those 4 inches and dead freeze it on the yellow. I mean, the double peel on the 2 that are left there, the 2 guards that are left there, looks pretty easy. Like it's going to be made a very high percentage of the time. That's why you might look at throwing a guard here.
If this is made perfectly top 8 buried, Team Englot will have a chance. That double peel does come back towards the center if hit in a good spot. Like we could see 3 or 4 rocks move after this shot.
I have to see her put the broom down. Yeah, I needed to see the broom down to know which shot she was playing, because you could play the yellow onto that red in the rings too.
Yeah, interesting that I think I would have went the other way and went red, yellow, red, and kind of to that triangle. This way she's trying to play the slash, which does the same thing.
Would have liked to move a second rock one way or the other, right? Whether it's that red in the top of the 12 or she's a little thinner and push the yellow into the rings. But only gets the 1.
Yeah, the only reason I like the other way is that you open up your draw path. You move that yellow, that's the yellow center guard, and open up that draw path on the right side. But now Fujisawa thinking what the perfect place is for their center guard, or hitting and rolling, get 2 for 1.
I don't love that. That's a tough way to get a guard in a perfect position. I'm not sure how dangerous that yellow one really is.
It looks like the angle is there. They could run the yellow into the shot rock red for 1, which is a very highly difficult shot. I like that they're looking at it, but I think guarding is probably the call they'll end up with.
Yeah, if you don't get something in front of that red stone on the 12-foot, really, you could play the double straight back, and if you hit it just right, you could pick it clean and sit 2.
Yeah, that's why you have to guard it.
You have to guard that. I mean, if they were playing the hit, they were looking to roll over and guard it too, but that's a harder way to get a precise guard. Looks like they saw something on the ice there, so a little housekeeping before they throw.
Yeah, my favorite part about Fujisawa, one, they always look like they're having the most fun on the ice, but two, all 4 of them talk about strategy on important shots. They all 4 come down. I know when you're on a clock, sometimes that can get scary, but they play fast enough that they can do it. And I think, communication is the reason why these teams are at the top of our sport. That guard sliding a little deeper than they wanted.
Yeah, a little deeper than they wanted, but it ends up not in a horrible spot because the only way to make the double is pretty much the nose hit double. You can't get across it enough to play it over the top, and if you play the nose hit double, you're probably still kind of in your own way with the shooter. Yeah, like that. She's made the double, but it's still dead guarded.
Yeah, like you said, that was the only way to make the double. So now Fujisawa's decision is either the high center guard or draw the top 8 foot.
I still don't mind the high guard because something's coming back if you come in.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty much 50-50. It depends on the team and who you're playing. And
you can play this shot later is where I'm coming from. Like you can guard now, they're going to have to peel it, and this is still always going to be there. It has to be close for Shot Rock because she's looked at it several times now.
Yeah, I think the S3 logo might be throwing them off a little bit.
It could be. Could be throwing us off.
I find that's, it could be.
Anytime you get that, it's a different color at one half of the rings than the other half, that you get a bit of an optical illusion from the color.
Oh, Skipper's calling heavy.
Well, and it's a long ways out there, so they're trying to make sure they come by their own. They don't want to leave the double off of it. We should know who's shot now for sure.
It still looks like red to me.
Well, it's clearly red now, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit of a miss. So obviously, tolerance there would have been light for the center guard. Missing quite a bit heavy, 4.5 feet heavy. Uncharacteristic. Does give Team Englot an opportunity to get out of this end and try to get those rocks off the button.
She's looking at the angle run into shot or the straight back. I would also be looking at, and I don't think they have yet, you could play the angle run on the one on the center line towards the one at the back 8 foot. Now your shooter might push the other one into the rings.
It is awfully close for that. I think the one guard needs to be 2 or 3 centimeters higher, maybe. But this angle, if made, gets both rocks off the button, and I think that's why they stayed with that. Fortunately for Sarah England, this is going to over curl. Does kind of do what you wanted, though.
Yeah. I mean, it still doesn't give them a good path at shot rock. If you do it the other way, your shooter's out of the way. Although, interesting right now, with the piece that she could see of the red, you might be able to double the reds. A slash double. Thin slash double. So I think Fujisawa has to guard, right? She could come right in.
Yeah, it's kind of like the other shot. I mean, as long as your red one stops on the center line, you're doing the job that needs to be done, whether it's right in or whether it's a high center guard. I imagine her tolerance is going to be a lot closer this shot after a little bit of a mistake on her first.
This is still a long ways out there. You got to get a sliver under that yellow. You're not going to get a sliver under the yellow.
No. And the weight was pretty well perfect, so their sweeping just kind of killed the line early.
Wow, this is like a nose hit triple to sit 3.
Yeah, this could be a big swing. She threw perfect weight, and I'm sure she hit the broom. It's just when you sweep early, sometimes the rock doesn't catch the curl where it normally does.
Now you could make this awfully close to perfect and still not get it by that yellow at the back of the button. But if you do, it's possible she could get all 3 reds to go in. And now because it's a nose hit, you keep your shooter in the rings too.
Yeah. I mean, first goal is to get that red off the button. This is wide. Yeah, unfortunate miss by Sarah England.
Yeah, it didn't get any of the reds out. Now, it did get it far enough. She's sitting 3rd shot, but the double left and the 2 reds in the middle would be tough to hold the shooter.
Yeah. If we're going to pull the news from that shot is you can see the button. There's no access to it yet, but it does give your skipper a chance if she makes a nice one on her 7 rock to score. What do you think is the perfect spot for this rock? They're talking top
guard.
8. They're talking guard.
Yeah, they're talking in. I think you have to guard it. You put it where they're talking about. In my eyes, she's playing the angle run on the yellow that's half in the 12-foot, and she probably doubles the 2 reds at the top of the house and stays buried.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to avoid with playing the top 8. If they leave the angle right, the angle double will jam. But obviously, it's a very specific spot to put it. It's one of those 50-50, depending who you're playing, depending who you are as a skip kind of thing. There's no wrong answer, but...
really hard to put this in a good spot in the rings, because if you overcurl it, you just leave her the hit and rolling behind cover.
Not exactly what she wanted, but kind of... Oof. It's hard to say if that's good or not.
Yeah, you need to see how the next shot is made, because the run back might get all 3 of them. Really, either run back. The straight run back probably looks easier. I think the short one, just because it's less distance. They're going to play the straight back.
The straight back of the triple is a lot more makeable, where the angle, you might miss the back red one. That's probably why. And you always have to look at your problem rock, which is the rock on the... I mean, it's the 3 reds in the 4-foot, but also the rock on the center line.
Yeah, but you're not getting rid of the rock on the center line.
No. Big shot here.
Yeah.
For Stephanie Schmidt, the 4th stone thrower for Team Englot. Makes this perfect. It could be sitting 3.
If you just a sliver over curl it and don't get the one on the center line, you're still probably doubling the other 2, and you leave shot rock open. Well, you're sitting 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's not a bad shot either.
Yeah, usually there's not a ton of tolerance with runbacks, but this one does have a little bit.
So that might be too much to the center line side. Yeah, just picks the one and guards the shot stone as well. Now I think you're coming in.
Yeah, you can put a lot of pressure. If you can nose tap that red rock to the top, biting the pin, Team Englot's not going to have a lot of options to score. Just the angle run. Team Englot, you're thinking about how you only give up 1. Giving up 1 isn't the end of the world. Giving up 3 is game over.
Shinami Yoshida with a good point there. If you could get to the nose, or maybe even, now I'm getting greedy, a sliver inside the nose and just tap that up a little bit, the angle run-in is real tough. It might not be a run-in. It might be a tap, trying to tap it to the button, because if you get past the nose, tap it back just a little bit onto the button, the hit weight run-in is probably jamming the first red onto the second, and it's probably still a steal of 2.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If
then you probably have to tap to the button.
Yep, she can make this perfect tap to the button, leave the right angle. Team Englot will be forced to make a tap to the pin for 1. Big sweep here. I think that's mission accomplished for the most part. Like, you didn't get the tap, the button's still available, but there's no draw. I think it just is, but it's not easy.
No. Well, if you rub that at all, too, it's probably 3. That's what I'm looking at. What Stephanie's looking at is, can you make the in off the yellow? You'd have to be right in the pocket because you have to kill both reds. They're looking at running the guard back, which is conceding a steal of 1. If you make it, you're conceding 1.
Yeah, I think it's the easiest shot, which is hard to say when it's a 12-foot run back against 3. But right on the nose or just off nose, you give up 1 and restart next end. Big last rock here in the 5th end for Team Englot. Trying to make a nose run back double to only give up 1.
It's close. Needs to come up just a hair more. She's close.
I was going to say,
touched all 3 of them, but only got 1 of them to leave.
That is a steal of 2 for Team Fujisawa. They go up 4-1 after 5 ends. Team Englot has hammer. Going into the 6th. We'll see you right after the short commercial break.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. I'm Sam Steep, joined by Sean Joyce. We are here in Swift Current. Team Fujisawa up 4-1 over Team Michelle Englot. Michelle throwing the lead stones for her team, and I imagine her team looking for at least two or 3 points in the sixth end.
Yeah, you pretty much got to put up multiple score here. You get 2 here. You force 1 and 7, and you're still 2 down coming home with last rock. That's not the worst position to be in. You see 3s scored all the time, and you have to feel pretty good about your chance to get 2 and 8 and at least get back to an extra end. If you only get 1 here, if you get forced or even a blank is not particularly good for you here.
Yeah, they need to string along a couple of made shots in a row. They've had too many half shots the last 2 ends, and that's why Fujisawa stole 2 last end and had a shot for 4 the end before. Need to string along, 4 or 5 made shots in a row and put some pressure on this team Fujisawa. And if I'm Fujisawa, I'm quite happy with how my team's playing, and setting up the ends. The last 2 ends have been great for her. Keep the rocks above tee line is the most important part. And they do just that. Update you on our other scores. Kayla McMillan up 4-1 over Corinne Brown. The battle of the BC teams in the one other B final. Kate Cameron up 4-1 over Delaney Strauss in our other B final. And in this, trying to stay alive in the C, we have Carrie Einerson up 3-2 over Serena Greyweathers. And Jolene Campbell is up 3-1 over Jenna Angie. I'll get it one day.
Well, if she doesn't manage to pick up a few points here, you won't have to worry about a game this weekend. That's a CF matchup.
That's true. Just a little bit of an over curl by Michelle, but it kind of works because it is half buried. They can still get to that shot stone on both sides.
Just by the guard. A little warm, and it pushes the rock to a freeze. That's probably helping Michelle Englot right now. Now, you could come around, try to freeze it again. You could play the hit. Yeah, if I'm hitting and rolling on the red, I'm going that way.
Yeah, I like hitting and rolling behind the corner guard. You threw it there for a reason. That yellow is perfectly frozen. You don't really want to change the angle of it. You could maybe by a couple centimeters, but I think use the corner guard that you threw up. That will be your second point, and try to get to shot rod.
It's not just second. You get 2 buried like this. 3 is in play already. Well, they're going to have trouble getting by the guard. This is going sideways. Might have got that started a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunate miss.
Well, for a number of reasons, because now you no longer have a corner guard to play with this end.
That's been the main difference of the game. Team Englot's had at least 1-0 an end in the last 2 ends, and that's why they've been chasing. You can't throw zeros against the best teams in the world, including Fujisawa.
Yumi Suzuki looking to come down, sit on the corner of that yellow stone. Doesn't want to be right to the face here. This has got to be on the corner, and this is really going hard. Could almost get to the other corner the way that's curling.
Yeah, that curled a lot. Still a well-placed stone. Team Englot's going to be forced to make some kind of hit. Too hesitant to peel the only guard in play when you're down 3. I don't blame you for not wanting to do that, but it kind of is your problem stone right now.
Yeah, it's the only guard she's got to work with, though. She's going to have to leave it up there.
Yeah.
You got to try to score 2 here. The problem with this hit and roll is it's tough to get into a... If you stagger it, you're actually helping Fujisawa. You need to get this dead in line on the roll. Not going to get the roll at all.
Yeah, better than rolling like another rock over and making it a pretty easy double. But doesn't exactly help you. They need to somehow get to that red in the top button area eventually.
And here's the difference. For Fujisawa, she doesn't need to roll dead underneath. She actually wants a bit of an angle. Because after Michelle moves things around, she needs some angle on the reds to be able to get rid of that yellow. She could actually get an angle from both sides if she does what she's just talking about there. You come off the yellow, come into the side of your red, move it over half a rock, and you might have angle on red onto yellow from both sides.
Yeah, true.
And no way for Michelle to get in there. That's the other problem for Michelle Englot. Get a lot out of this rock. Gets the hit, rolls across. Doesn't really nudge the one far enough, but she's got good angle on the one that she just rolled over with.
Yeah, and Englot, hard to use those rocks in any good way for Team Englot. I'm pretty much forced to make the run back now. If you could nose, be sitting one buried. It's just then Team Fujisawa will have 2 options to get to your shot stone. Big shot for Sarah England. Pretty good outcome.
Yeah, it worked out okay for not being what they wanted.
Yeah.
Left a corner guard. If Fujisawa was going to go after the short run onto the second shot stone, she's going to open up the center line.
Yeah, I imagine they're going to slash their own red in. Would be the best outcome.
But then you're rolling everything off the center line, so Michelle will have some kind of shot, you would think, to roll behind the corner.
Yeah. I think
got to be made. We're late in the end.
Yeah, I think if they were up 4 or 5, you could even see the corner guard peel, but we are late in the end. Only up 3. You want to eliminate the stone that's in the rings. This is the only way how. A little thinner than they wanted. They wanted to keep their shot stone near the center line, but eliminates the yellow. Team Englot has 2 options. Either they could freeze or they could hit and roll behind the corner. I'm surprised they're not hitting and rolling behind the corner.
I don't hate the freeze either, just because it's staggered. The hit and roll's probably easier.
I was just going to say that
you're gonna stuff the back one, but
yeah, but in my opinion, freeze is probably the hardest shot in curling.
Well, yes, but when you're frozen around one that's, I mean, they're only
Yeah.
going to have access to it from one side. That gives you a little bit more tolerance.
That's true. Big shot for Sarah England here. Makes this hit and roll. Could set up her skipper for her 2 points that they most desperately need. Trying to make this rock curl. Doesn't quite curl up enough.
It's not the end of the world, because it's hard for Fujisawa to roll back towards the center line. She'd risk jamming it on the back one. Fujisawa sitting 2 at the back right now, but certainly that rock at the top 8 foot splittable. And honestly, I think if you don't hit it, she's playing the split on the next one, even if it means she's just sitting second and third.
Yeah, I think they're pretty much forced to hit. It's maybe not the easiest. They're not getting the most curl in the world off the center line, but you're not going to take everything away.
No, it's risky to try the big roll. That's what they're talking about, hitting it thin enough to get it over the top of the back one and then roll big to the 8 foot on the other side. But it's risky if you ever jam it. Jam this is the only way that 3 gets back into play, because you jam it, it's behind cover, shot rock. Well, probably second. You probably roll in for shot. I don't think you're bad yet if you're just on the nose. Just get it between those 2 at the back. Leave your shooter right there. Yes, Stephanie Schmidt's going to have some kind of shot to bury, but she makes it really good. You'll have this rock to run back.
Yeah, you can
or
hit it
tap
right on the
even.
nose. Right on the nose is perfect.
You do not want to roll under.
Nope.
Throwing the big weight here, I think part of that is if you do happen to jam it, you want to roll it out.
Wow, they got awfully close to that guard.
Yeah.
A glimmer of hope here for Team Englot. Drawing around a corner guard to sit one buried. Try to score their 2 points. This is Team Englot's 5th game this weekend already. They are 3-1. Fujisawa is 2-1, so Fujisawa must have had a bye in a round at some point.
Well, there were 17 teams on the women's side, so 2 of them had to play way out in the 32s, and Michelle was one of them.
Yeah.
Her first game she was one of the 2 teams that was set back.
Okay, that makes more sense. So they've obviously made some upsets to be in this B final, looking to make this draw around their corner guard to set up their 2 points. Stephanie Schmidt. Big momentum shot too. You get a skips deuce in the 6th end to make it a 1-point game. All of a sudden you have a lot of confidence. Pretty much perfect. Fully buried. For nitpicking, you'd say it's a foot deep.
Well, they had to go a little bit to make sure they got by. I was afraid they were going to end up behind the tee line, but it stops just in front. And that, this freeze is there, but anytime you're freezing to a rock in front of the tee line, it's a little tougher. She can't get right to the nose because she wouldn't be shot rock. And anytime you're going to the corner, it doesn't take much of a bump and you're open. It's shot for two.
Yeah, we just talked about the momentum swing for Englot. This is a little bit of a momentum swing for Fujisawa. Makes this perfect. You almost feel like you won the game.
Still a lot of room, and it looks like enough weight that might bounce off. Enough that she's got room to make the shot for two. I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah, they definitely have to take the risk on making it. They only need
sure.
they only need to tap it 3 feet. That's why Michelle's suggesting that backline weight. Because yeah, they have about 3/4 of it. So then it needs to curl after the guard to get to the nose.
That should not be a problem.
No,
not
here.
Lots of late finish. So
yeah,
the after the guard's not going to be the problem.
It's getting past the guard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last rock here in the 6th end. Team Englot has an hit 4-2 to close the gap.
Nothing but other brushes early, and then I saw a finger point up, suggesting this might be more weight than they were looking for. Got to get it by her own stone. I think she touched it too far.
Yeah, it looks like the red in the back 8 foot is out counting the yellow. There'll only be 1 point for Team Englot. A 4-2 lead for Fujisawa. Going into the 7th, Fujisawa has hammer when we come back.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like 1 more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. I'm Sam Steve, joined by Sean Joyce. In a very dominant Fujisawa game so far, I know it's only 4-2, but they have had control of the last 4 ends.
And they have control of the hammer as we start things off here in the 7th. And, you know, I'm looking at the scoreboard thinking we're into must-steal territory. Michelle got the guard up on the first one. It is on the center line, but it's about a halfway guard, which makes it really tough to throw the second guard and get separation.
Again, I said the freeze was one of the hardest shots in curling. As a skip, a 1 guard is impossible. So I don't know how leads do it, but yeah, it did slide a little too deep, and it does make 2 center guards very difficult. Can freeze to the rock in the top 8, and that can act as a guard later in the end with how much curl there is. Sweeper's calling heavy, looking to go around everything now.
Yeah, this was not the call, but it might work out for them.
It's a good plan C. Fujisawa looking to draw the top of the button, and then will be peeling, most likely.
Yeah, she's not going to want to come to the back one, but pretty easy to slide too far on this one. Doesn't look like she's heavy.
They're very Team Fujisawa, very proactive sweepers. They sweep early.
They misjudged that one a little bit.
Yeah, but they normally are very good at weight judgment and knows exactly, oh, this rock is 2 feet light. So if they sweep early, they'll gain speed early in the shot compared to late in the shot when the rock is slowing down. But as you said, that rock 2 feet heavy does give Team Englot a chance to freeze on the button and get their steal point set up.
Have to make it here, as like you said, the peels can start on the next one, and then you're not having any guards to work with.
This is a big sweep. This is close.
It rubbed that stone on the 8-foot and still ended up in a not horrible spot. If they get by, they're probably golden, but
if they get by, they're set up for their steal for sure, but still have to work on it a little bit now.
Oops.
Yeah, oops kind of worked out for them, didn't it? Maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. Because she could still get to it now. She's got to play the out turn to get to the freeze, but the freeze is still there.
Very, very uncommon miss.
This one's not going to make the freeze. Might be able to corner freeze the front one, the one in the 8-foot.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. It's going to be really hard to get shot rock now.
It does mean you'll probably have to make a play in the house earlier than you'd like. You still expect to see if this peel is made. You probably have to throw at least one more guard.
kind of takes that draw path away a little bit. So another little bit of a miscue by the second of Team Fujisawa.
They might get away with it, though, because right now, the team that might need that draw path is Michelle Englot. And
that's true.
Might not be there.
That's true. It could work out for them.
You could. It's an option, and you wouldn't play it here. You're going to play the guard here regardless. And you might eventually play that out turn draw, try to get just by the staggered 2 in the 8-foot and get down towards those 2 at the back of the button. And it might not be there now. That corner guard might be in the way. Now, I don't think any of that ever changes this call. You're always playing the guard here. You expect it's going to get peeled. You probably have to throw... I think you still have to throw one more guard after this. Now, Fujisawa, you turn it around now. It's Fujisawa throwing. She knows the same thing, right? If you peel one too many guards, she's going to make a play in the house. So you might not peel the next one. You might look for a play in the house. I'm not sure what she's at, though. It looks pretty good in the house for her right now.
Depends where the next center guard is. They could tap that red in the top 4-foot to button and sit 2.
Yeah.
It just depends where the guard is, obviously, on the next one. But for now, peel. And this is the game of cat and mouse. That happens a lot in the 5-rock rule. Who's going to go first?
Yeah, Michelle knows if she comes in too early, it gives Fujisawa too many chances to blast everything, which is what Fujisawa wants to do. On the other hand, she knows if she waits one shot too late, she might not have enough time to score.
I think this is going to be the last guard thrown.
Oh, it has to be, I think, because it's tough for her to get shot rock on one shot.
Yeah.
Having said that, I'm not sure what the next play is. That stagger at the top of the 8-foot isn't great for Englot, and that wide out turn draw, I'm not sure if it's even there.
I think the next play will be unlocking the stagger on the top 8. Try to give yourself 2 options, but also not leave an easy double or triple for Fujisawa. So basically, if you could tap it right on the nose, but keep the angle onto the red, it would be perfect. Not easy, but when you're down 2 without, there won't be any easy shots for the rest of the game.
Scoreboard says you don't get to throw easy shots.
Yeah. Stephanie Schmidt's first rock here in the 7th. Looking to unlock those stones in the top 8. And this is curling early.
Yeah. Needs to make contact with the yellow. If she misses the yellow and just touches the red, it won't help her. I don't think she moved it far enough at that.
No, missed that too late. A lot of skips would have missed that heavy, just not meaning to, obviously, but I do think the miss would have been that back line hack weight compared to light, and obviously we've all made that mistake before. Now Fujisawa's in an interesting situation. They're almost guaranteed one right if they don't throw right now.
Yeah, they're looking at the tap, which I don't think you need to play, and there's potential to leave a shot that she doesn't have a shot until you move that red.
Yeah. Like if Fujisawa doesn't throw, they score. I just don't see how Englot can get to the pin right now. Maybe a spinner just missing that corner guard to the top of the button. It's probably the only shot, and that's not easy.
Well, you could throw a guard out there and take that away too.
Yeah. Then they have nothing.
That might be the call here. Guard the draw path, and she's got no way in. You've always got the tap for 2 if with your last one. I just don't think you want to move that red right now.
Yeah. This is exactly the reason why all 4 players need to know strategy and the best strategy for your team to succeed. Like I'm pretty sure that was the second who suggested the guard, and everyone was like, the Yumi, and everyone was like, oh yeah, the guard is the call. Yeah, it's a big reason why this team is one of the best in the world, is all 4 of them communicate what they need out of every shot. Satsuki Fujisawa's first stone here in the 7th, looking to guard the only draw path that Team Englot has to get shot rock. I'm not sure that took it away.
If the draw path is there, I don't think that changed it. It's still debatable if you get by the corner guard, if you're getting by the one at the top of the 8-foot, but I don't think that guard changes anything.
I don't think it does either. So the question is, do they play the tap to strike the scoring area and make it a hard 2 points, or do they play the shot to try and steal?
Michelle seems to think they can tap that. Just the way she's gesturing, thinks they can tap that to be shot rock. And maybe you can. Just a slight angle to get to the corner, the top corner at the, between 9 and 12 o'clock. Get full corner of the button, maybe. I mean, it's real tough. If the angle's even there, it's real tough because you got to just get by the Yellowstone and the top of the 8-foot to hit enough of that enough of the Yellowstone. If it rubs off the red at all, it's not getting there.
Yeah, both shots are extremely difficult, but you always have to look at what you're leaving the other team. Obviously, if you give up 2 points, the game's over. If you force, you still have a chance down 3 with the 5-rock rule.
Well, if you're worried about the force, you probably play the tap, I think.
Yeah.
Because if you tap and you over curl, you're changing the angle on that double tap, and now she probably can't get the second point.
Yes. And I think that's probably the main thing they're discussing, is whether they're okay with forcing. Because now they're even talking about guarding.
Yeah.
Which isn't a terrible call either.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much risk for Fujisawa to play that. You play the guard, she's just going to play the triple tap. She can't hurt herself.
No.
You make it a lot harder. If you're going to play it, you may as well play it really long.
So, Team Englot deciding to throw the guard, trying to force Team Fujisawa to 1. As Stephanie settles into the hack, keeping her team's hopes alive by making this guard. England making that rock curl to pretty much the perfect spot. That's called and made.
Pick your stone. I don't think there's any way to hurt yourself with any kind of run back here.
Yeah, it only looks like they're going to throw a little bit of weight at it too. With that broom. I mean, you can't hurt. It always double jams, so it doesn't matter what weight you throw. Just really need to make contact with that yellow-red, and you're scoring 2.
Yeah, they're so lined up.
Yeah.
Yellow onto red, which will go onto the red-yellow at the back, and it looks like both reds stay no matter what. She can really hit it just about anywhere, too, when she drives it back. As long as she makes contact with that first yellow, I think the red's going into the button area.
Yep, last rock here in the 7th. Looking for a run back tap for 2. And just didn't quite curl enough, and it will be 1 red. Team Fujisawa takes a 5-2 lead going into the 8th end. Team Englot has hammer when we come back.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Sasktel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? Sasktel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Well, no secret for Michelle Englot. She needs to find a way to score 3 here, so she's thrown 1 corner guard. I won't be surprised if she ignores this one and throws a second one.
Yeah, they need as many rocks in play as possible. For the most part, that will help them score 3. Going to need a miss or 2 from Team Fujisawa, but if they make all 8 stones, could have a shot for 3 to tie this game. A perfect start from Team Fujisawa.
So it looks like they're looking for the corner guard on the other side now.
Yeah, two different strategies. You can throw the two on the same side or split. It really kind of depends on where your first corner guard ends up.
Yeah, it's a little too close to halfway to throw them both on the same side, I think. Now, the nice thing about it, you mentioned you need a miss, but the free guard zone, essentially sort of gives you the miss. It gives you your two guards. You need two guards really to score three, but you're still going to need at least a half shot somewhere along the way, even if you make all 8 of yours.
Yeah, no secret to it. Yes, the 5-rock rule does give them a chance already without having to need a 0, but
you'll likely see another one piled into the middle here. You can't hit the guards yet, and that's the other side of it. You know your opposition is going to throw 2 in the corners. You're going to throw 3 into the middle before you get to do anything else, knowing that Michelle Englot at some point in time is going to have to deal with those 3 as well. And when she does that, she might group a couple of rocks and give you one chance at a double, which might be all you need.
Yep.
It's that cat and mouse again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously a big advantage for Fujisawa. They don't really need to. It's not hard strategy for them at this point. It's eliminate. Pretty much perfect. I'm surprised they wanted the center guard. I thought maybe they would have put that in the top 12. Because like I said before, the more rocks in play really only helps Team Englot.
Yeah, so this is where she's trying to get 2 things out of one. You're trying to deal with one of those rocks on the middle and get something behind the corner at the same time. She's looking at doing it with the center guard. I actually thought she might try to come by the center guard, make the tap on the one in the 8-foot. It just looks a little easier to me to get the roll that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, the main point for Ashley on this shot is to get one of the red ones behind T-line and obviously get your yellow buried behind the corner guard. That's the main goal here.
Yeah, it was always going to be tough to get the yellow into the rings off that, and she didn't, so.
Not the end of the world. It does roll to a corner guard, but yeah, it was going to be tough to get into the rings.
I think you're playing the one on the other side and hoping for the crosshouse double.
Little risk to it. If you don't hit it with enough weight, you could tap the yellow into the rings. This is certainly the safer call.
I don't think that not enough weight's been a big problem for
that's
Fujisawa's team.
No. No mistake. But you're right. The danger rock for Fujisawa is that yellow in the tight center guard area because that can be split on for 3 later on in the end.
Yeah, I'd have been tempted to also, if I'm Michelle, to come around it first. You come around the longer guard. That's the one Fujisawa wants to peel anyway because she can make the double peel off of it.
Yeah. I would almost be tempted to double tap those reds on this shot or the next one. Create a pocket, but this still needs to stop. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's... You know, if it stops even 4 inches shorter, bite the back 12 for third shot, it's still a good shot. But it's a 0 on the stat sheet where it ended up.
Yeah, just a miscue, obviously. Clearly, everyone kind of knows the misses light there, but in the 8th end, when you're down 3, there really is no misses. There really is no tolerances anymore. Now a chance for Fujisawa to basically end the game if they can make this double peel. Oh. Wow, back-to-back misses.
Yeah.
Maybe trying too hard to make the double. Not 100% sure.
Well, now this makes things interesting because you were just that little bit too deep the last time when you're through, but honestly, the best spot for this one might be dead frozen to that rock. Give yourself room to come around twice, make it harder to remove.
Sweeper's not touching this stone yet.
I'd be taking that right back.
It would be, you're not wrong. If you could put that perfectly frozen on the back yellow, it would be very hard to eliminate.
Because she's got another shot at the peel, and again, if she double peels, if she ever makes the double peel, like, you're in trouble. You're
Especially
coming around the two reds is all you got left.
Yeah, especially because team at the Fujisawa level, a tier 1 level, they don't miss the same shot twice ever. And so I imagine she's going to be awfully close to this double peel. Just a little too thick, but one less rock to deal with.
Now, I think when you're coming around on this one, you have to be deep because you need to leave a path to make the double on the reds later. You're not too worried about getting shot or even second shot just yet. But you have to get by the guard. This is going sideways. It's light. Just gonna rub.
The rub is another rock in play. That yellow in the top 12 is still splittable. Or the yellow in the top 3 guard zone.
Yeah, but it's real tough to get the two reds out of the middle now.
Yes. That's why it's decision time for Fujisawa. They're obviously going to hit a rock in the rings. They're just trying to pick which one they want. Certainly the one in the 8 foot on the other side is a lot easier.
It is. Part of the discussion might be where do you want to roll, or do you want to roll? I think the shot that Stephanie Schmidt's going to have for her first one is she's going to have to try to come through the port and split that yellow stone. So she'll try to push it behind the reds and have her shooter come in behind the corner. So I'm not sure you want to be rolling in behind the two reds here. She'll be able to play it with more weight. Just play the yellow onto the red, roll behind the corner, and that leaves her a shot for the double for the last one. Now, there's still another rock to be thrown in between. Right now, the double's hard. Like, it's hard to clear the yellow.
Yeah, I think right on the nose is pretty much perfect. Looks like they swept to roll it a bit. I think that's okay. There's no easy double.
So
they need to hit and roll behind the corner and hope to get a 0 from Fujisawa, I think.
I mean,
you would love to get that yellow in the 3 guard zone into play, but they need to eliminate too many stones to bring it into play.
If that yellow wasn't sitting there on the corner of the 4 foot, there might be a triple available on the reds with the last one, but you know, if the yellow's in the way, the top red's going to go into that yellow.
Yeah, there really is no right answer. You're going to need to get a 0 from Fujisawa, but try to make it as hard as possible. Update you on our other games. Corinne Brown up 5-4 over Kayla McMillan after taking 3 and stealing 1 and 6. Kate Cameron beats Delaney Strauss 6-1. in the other B final. Kate Cameron has qualified for playoffs now. Carrie Anderson up 4-3 over Serena Gray Withers, but Gray Withers has hammer in the 7th. And Jolene Campbell takes the win in this and stays alive on the seaside. So the perfect shot is the hit and roll half buried behind the corner guard, I assume.
Yeah, I guess trying to Christmas tree the yellows a little bit. That's still leaving you an awfully tough double for the tie if Fujisawa doesn't throw.
I think the ideal shot for Team Englot obviously is to make this, and then for Fujisawa to eliminate only one yellow and both of her reds somehow. Then you can play the split for 3 and tie the game. It's pretty close. Needs to sit. Oh, little backspin to kind of Christmas tree it a bit, but it's going to be an open hit for the win for Team Fujisawa.
And you know what? With the weight that Satsuki throws, if she ever rubs that yellow at the top of the 8-foot, she probably still pushes it all the way out. Doesn't need to stay here, just needs to make one yellow go away.
To qualify for the playoffs here at the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. And no mistake by Satsuki Fujisawa. They will win this B qualifier final, and we'll see them in the playoffs tomorrow. Team Englot drops down to the C. They are still alive. Sean, any last words?
Well, we're just reiterating what we've been saying all game long. The Fujisawa team played very well right from the opening gun, really. It was an open first few ends, but they didn't miss a whole lot. And it was, as you said earlier, it was half shots or complete misses once an end, and Englot was in trouble from about the 4th end on, if I remember right.
Yeah.
First 3 were pretty close, but
there you have it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'm Sam Steep, joined by Sean Joyce. Thanks for watching Curling Stadium. We'll be back at 11:15 Swift Current time for our next game. Thank you.
Handcrafted in Canada, Artline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.